Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to this, your May 15th through May 31st reading and predictions. You'll notice I am in yet another location. As I mentioned last month, for those of you who are returning, my son and I are in the process of moving around an awful lot. We've decided to become nomadic. So this month, I am coming to you from my cousin's man cave here in beautiful Medicine Hat, Alberta. So welcome to those of you who are new. It is a little bit chilly here, a whole lot colder than it was in Mexico, where I used to live. Eventually, I'm sure that my blood will thicken up and I'll feel more comfortable. All right, without any further ado, let's get started, Sagittarius. Okay. So for those of you who are new here, I work with a number of different tarot decks as well as oracle card decks. I pull all of the cards first, and as I'm pulling those cards, I do leave them sitting face down so that more of the intuitive and psychic stuff can flow in rather than me being influenced by being able to see the entire spread in front of me. Sagittarius, the first card that we're going to pull for you, Sagittarius, is going to be the card of where you're at now. The intention behind this reading is to cover the time period between May 15th and May 31st, 2023. And this reading is good for anybody born under the sign of Sagittarius, as well as anybody else with a significant amount of Sagittarius in their birth charts. Okay. Where are the Sagittarius now? Where are their energies now here in the middle of May? I do have a card that's poking me in the finger. Let's see if it's going to come out. Nope, it didn't come out. Okay, there's one. Two cards out. 3, 4. Oh my goodness. Sagittarius. And another card. Wow. Okay. Seems like your reading might be a little bit longer. What's the last card that came out? There we go. Okay. The next card that we're going to pull for you, Sagittarius, is what you are focusing on. What are the Sagittarians focusing on May 15th through the 31st? Got 2 cards that have jumped out. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that Sagittarius is focusing on? Okay. The next card that we're going to pull for you is a card of difficult influences. What are the Sagittarians bumping up against? What are the difficult influences? May 15th through May 31st. Okay. Okay, the next card that we're going to pull is a card that just makes sense. This is kind of a fun card in the reading because one of 2 things happens with the card that just makes sense. Cards that just make sense either have the ability to tie the entire reading together because, you know, sometimes we have a lot of cards that come out. Or the card that just makes sense may have identical meaning to one of the other cards in the reading, thus giving everything more weight and more significance. I'm just noticing behind me that there's something that looks kind of weird. Oh, well. All right, let's have a look at the card that just makes sense for you, Sagittarius. Okay. And we've got 2 cards out, 3. Whoa, cards are acting really weird. Okay. This was the first card, second card. I think this one was 4th. There we go. All right. Okay, the next cards that we're going to pull for you are cards of unexpected insights and influences. What is unexpected? It's very hard to mix cards when your fingers are frozen. There we go. Is there anything else unexpected? Sagittarius. Yep. Okay, that was the first card that came out, second card. Okay, the final card that we're going to pull for you, Sagittarius, is going to be the cards of your expected outcome. This is a card or cards that project or predict where you are anticipated to be come the end of May. Expected outcome. So a whole lot of these cards came flying out. We're going all over the table for This Makes Sense. And now none of them wanted to come out for your outcome. Very interesting, Sagittarius. Oh, there's one, and it's all the way on the floor. And there's another card and another one. And yet another card. Okay, now they want to talk. Anything else for the outcome for Sagittarius, end of May? Yep, one more. Okay. All right, I'm just going to pause the video because I have to climb down off my chair and get your card off the floor. Sorry about that, Sagittarius. I'm sitting up on a rather high stool and it wasn't easy for me to get your card off the floor because it really flew. Okay, where are you at now? Focus, stand your ground. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to read the cards in the order in which they came out. And it's interesting because you have 5 cards here. And the card at the very beginning and the card at the very end have exactly the same meaning. The second and the third card have similar meanings. And then you have kind of a lone wolf card here. Yeah, let's just dive in. Okay. Where you're at now, right now, Sagittarius, is a place where you need to be releasing the past. You need to release the old, and you need to rest as you're doing this, because when we are releasing the old, when we are releasing what no longer serves us, we have a lot of stuff that we need to process. There's a lot of stuff we need to let go of. For some of us, what's coming up for me, Sagittarius, is that for some of you, you may experience what's known as a healing crisis. A healing crisis can be somewhat of an unpleasant experience. However, when you come out the other side of it, it is really, really beautiful. And it's exhilarating. And there is nothing like the feeling of coming out the other side of a healing crisis. Now, when we go through a healing crisis, a number of different things can happen. And I don't really want to plant seeds because I don't want someone to be unintentionally influenced. But healing crises can sometimes involve having symptoms of an illness that are inexplicable. And then all of a sudden, once the crisis passed, so too do the symptoms. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't want to unduly influence anyone. For me personally, I've experienced a number of different healing crises as I've done my own inner work over the years. And each one is a little bit different, but each time there are certain symptoms that come up and you're like, where's that coming from? And is this a true physical manifestation of feeling crappy? Or is this as a result of me realizing that there was a bunch of stuff that didn't serve me and I need to let it go? And as I'm doing that process, I need to allow myself time to rest. That's what's coming up for me with this card for you, Sagittarius, at this time. Once you've done this work, the next two cards have similar meanings. And both of these cards are about setting your intentions, making plans, focus, and create. What this is telling me, Sagittarius, is that May 15th through May 31st, you're going to be in this place of releasing the old and needing to take some time and space for yourself for the purposes of healing. And once you've done that, then the work starts of manifestation and creating something new. Okay. Oftentimes, when we release and we realize that something wasn't working for us anymore, we then find ourselves in this place of being lost. Because we're like, okay, well, I let go of that, but now what do I do? And what this is telling me is that you need to be intentional at this time, Sagittarius, setting your intentions and really, really planning what's going to come next. In so doing, you're going to have to stand your ground. You're going to have to recognize that, okay, two things are coming up for me with this stand your ground and the mountain here. As you begin to change and shift, as you release the old and you rest and you set your intentions to move forward into a new and better future, someone's going to challenge you. They're going to challenge, what are you doing that for? Why would you want to do that? That's not the way we do things. Okay. So that's part of what's coming up for this. The other part that's coming up for me with this for you, Sagittarius, is that when you release the old and you begin this awakening, and I say begin, but the reality is that you've been in this awakening for quite some time now. You've been in this awakening for probably about the last 6 months minimum. And when you do that, there's this desire to know everything. You want to know everything and you want to know it now. The reality is that that's not going to happen. So this mountain card, you'll notice that this is the mountain that's exposed to what we can see, and we know what's going on here. But also with mountains, there's something going on below the surface. There is always a lot going on below the surface. It's kind of like the iceberg, for what we can see of an iceberg, there's just as much below the water that we can't see what's going on. And so what's coming up for me, Sagittarius, is as you go through this awakening process, there's this desire to want to know and see everything. But the reality is that you don't and you won't always know what's going on below the surface, and you don't need to know all of that all of the time. Not on a conscious level. Your unconscious and your subconscious definitely knows what's going on below the surface, but on a conscious level, it's on more of a need to know basis. The final card that you have in this first portion of your reading is the elder coming in, asking you to move beyond ancestral patterns. And this is similar to release the old and rest. Okay. But this is going even deeper than this. So what this is telling me is that you're starting the process. And as you go through this process, you will have the opportunity and you will create the space to be able to make additional plans and set additional intentions. When you accept that you're never going to consciously see everything, including that which is going on below the surface, you can move into the place of also releasing ancestral patterns. What are you focusing on at this time? Oh, amazing. New beginnings. You have the Fool card here, and the Fool card is the 0 card in the major arcana. It's the very first card of the tarot. This is a card of brand new beginnings, setting new intentions, and doing it with a childlike wonder, with a little bit of foolishness and playfulness in mind. Now, that's not to say go and do what the fool's doing and hang off the side of a cliff. That's not to say that that's what you should be doing, but definitely be putting in some playfulness in whatever it is that you're doing, Sagittarius. The other card that you have is the Queen of Pentacles, also known as the Queen of Rainbows, the flowering card here in this deck. This is a card indicating that what you're setting your intentions for, both with the Fool, because the Fool is about new beginnings, but also over here with the Maiden and the High Priest, this is about setting intentions and new beginnings and creating new manifestations. With all of this going on, there's some beautiful things that are going to come to fruition. Your flowers are going to start blooming here, Sagittarius. Let's have a look at your difficult influences. Okay. So difficult influences, remember what I said with this card coming up, the release the old and the rest. Okay. When we're doing this deeper work, we do need to step back and create space for ourselves. And in your difficult influences, you have the solitude card here. This is a card of in silence, peace prevails. This coming up in your difficult influences, Sagittarius, is telling me that you're going to bump into this. You're going to be a busybody, okay? And you're going to be doing make work projects in order to avoid doing this deeper dive and avoid doing this work. Between May 15th and May 31st, with this card coming out in your difficult influences, what you really need to be geared towards doing is finding that time for the solitude, finding that time for the deeper dives, even though you're going to create a resistance against doing that. You also have the narrow pathway card in your difficult influences. What this is telling me is that as you're doing this other work and you're releasing the past, what can sometimes happen is we end up putting our blinders on the same way that a horse has blinders put on during a parade or when there's going to be a lot of people around. We put blinders on so that the horse doesn't get distracted, so that the horse doesn't, get squirreled and want to go running off. But when that happens, there's a lack of growth that can happen because we can only see what's directly in front of us. And so what this card is telling me in your difficult influences, Sagittarius, is that you've kind of got some blinders on right now. As much as, there's opportunities for major growth here, and this is what you're focusing on. As well, there's going to be a little bit of a temptation to put blinders on and go down a narrow pathway. You want to try and avoid that. All right, let's have a look at what's come up in your, this makes sense. Okay. This makes sense. Okay, you've got the Strength card in reverse. Strength card in reverse is a card of struggling against your sense of self. When you're releasing the past, when you're letting go of ancestral patterns, there is this loss of self, right? Loss of a sense of direction. But by the same token, right next to this card, you've got the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups is a time of being extremely creative. You've got the Eight of Cups reversed. Interesting that you've got the Seven of Cups and then you've got the Eight of Cups, and the Eight of Cups is reversed. The Eight of Cups is about walking away from something. That makes sense, right? We need to be able to walk away from things, but you've got the Eight of Cups in reverse. So instead of walking away, you're running away from something. Are you running away from something? Well, when we release the past, sometimes there's a temptation to run away from it instead of walking away. Instead of just releasing it and saying, yep, so done with that, there's a temptation to actually run away and bury stuff. That makes sense that you may be tempted to do this. You've got the Four of Wands coming in and this makes sense. It's a positive card. It's about new business endeavors, setting new intentions, new manifestations. It's about completing something and then being able to move forward with it. That makes sense, right? And you've got the Nine of Swords coming in. This is a card of regrets, a card of guilt. This is a card of struggling with being able to let go of the past. All of these cards make sense for where you're at right now. And it's interesting that you've got sort of a positive card and a negative card, a positive card and a negative card coming in here. Because what I'm really picking up for you, Sagittarius, is that at this time, as you're releasing the past, there's this temptation to take one step forward and two steps back. You're looking to the future. You're looking to this Fool card. You're looking to this Queen card, this flower, and you're going, yes, my future is bright. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, but wait, maybe we can do things differently. Maybe I can hold on to a piece of the past. Okay. That's what these cards are indicating, is that you're doing this kind of flip-flop. Okay. Do you want to really be doing that? No, eventually you're going to have to move into a place of celebration. But let's have a look at what's unexpected. Eight of, what do you got here? Okay, you've got the Eight of Cups. You also now have the Eight of Pentacles coming in. Interesting that you've got so many eights coming up in your reading. Okay, so unexpected. You've got the King of Swords coming up. The King of Swords is indicating that you're probably at this time, because of this flip-flop, because of releasing the past and then putting on the blinders with this narrow pathway card, because of this kind of flip-flop that you've got going on, Sagittarius, the King of Winter in your unexpected influences and insights is telling me that there's probably going to be a mentor coming in for you, a very strong, potentially a very masculine figure who's going to greatly influence what's happening for you and give you that guidance and give you that direction that you need. And again, you've got the Eight of Pentacles coming in, Eight of Autumn, as it's known in this particular deck. And again, excuse me, this is a card of do your research before moving forward and potentially even seek out a mentor. Do your education, do your apprenticeships. Not unexpected, even despite that it came up in your unexpected. Okay. What do you have going on here in your general overall outcome? General overall outcome. Yeah. You have the Four of Cups. Four of Cups is a very positive card. You have the World, very positive card. You have the Five of Wands in reversed. You have the Knight of Pentacles. And you have the Ten of Swords. Let's start from the beginning. The Four of Cups is a card of seeking out solitude in order to be able to determine which cup you should be drinking from, in order to determine what's best for you. It's about reevaluating stuff that's going on in your life. Now, what was in your difficult influences? Oh, right. Solitude. Okay. This is your double confirmation, Sagittarius, that at some point between May 15th and May 31st, you are going to have to do this solitude work. You're going to have to seek out time on your own. Like I said, yes, This card is indicating that you probably have a mentor coming in. This card is asking you to actually seek out a mentor and seek out some additional knowledge when you're making decisions. Not surprising because you have the Fool coming up here, but now you're being doubly confirmed because you have this Four of Cups here, which is also a card of seek solitude in order to be able to recenter yourself and make some decisions. You have the World card here. Success in all of your endeavors is definitely coming in, but because this card didn't come out solely by itself, it came out next to the Five of Wands. This is telling me that in order for you to actually receive the World, there is a little bit of an internal battle that you're fighting with yourself. And I said that before I ever even turned this card over. But for your outcome, you've got this back and forth. That was indicated by these cards that just made sense. You've got a positive card and a negative card and a positive card and a negative card coming up. And again, something similar is happening here. You've got cards here of go within, a card here of the World is a very positive card. And then right next to it, you've got the Five of Wands in reverse, which is a cutthroat battle going back and forth. Then you've got the Knight of Pentacles coming in here, where you've got common sense that's going to kick in. And this is a card, the Knight of Pentacles is about something lucrative coming in, but in order for that lucrative maybe job to come in, or that lucrative manifestation, because you were setting plans here at the beginning, you got to let go of the past. So this harkens back to the first few cards that we read, where you've got let go of the past, manifest, and then more letting go of the past. And you've got the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords, again, is a card of something new is starting for you, Sagittarius, but you got to let go of the past. If I look at this whole reading, and in order to be able to wrap things up for you, Sagittarius, at this time, May 15th through May 31st, you have this desire to let go of the past, and then you back off and go, oh, I got to hold on to something. Oh no, I want to move into the, I want to move into the future. Oh no, I'm going to hold on to something. You've got this back and forth happening. And until you are ready to fully and completely embrace the new and release the old, the World is going to be a little bit elusive, because there's going to be this bouncing back and forth. There's a duality that's going on here. And I think that your way out of this duality and this bouncing back and forth, Sagittarius, really, really hinges on these two cards. The King of Winter, also known as the King of Swords, and the Eight of Autumn, also known as the Eight of Pentacles. This is about doing your research, getting really, really clear with what you want. When you do that and you find that mentor and you find that guidance, whether that be in the form of a mentor, whether that be in the form of taking additional courses or seminars, when you get that clarity, the world is coming in for you. The Fool is coming in. There's a big new beginning coming in for you. And this Queen is really, really going to blossom. Yes, pun intended, because this is the flowering card. The Queen's going to blossom in your life. But you've got to get out of this back and forth, you know? Okay. All right. So Sagittarius, I'm going to leave it off there. I hope that you'll join me again when I do your next reading, which will be for the beginning of June. Can you believe that we're headed into the 6th month? Wow. All right. Thank you again. We will see you again in early June.